Welcome my students as well as the viewers. Today we are going to talk some different thing, that is GATE. GATE examination is being introduced right from this year, and IIT Bombay has introduced GATE. Finally, technocrats and the technical institutions of India could identify the importance of economics, and finally they have included economics, and this is the first year when they are going to take admission in for economics. No, right. Since this is the first year, and the standard of examination and the more informations are not known to the general public, simply IIT Bombay have published few mock test papers which is available to us, nothing more. So let us see first the importance, the standard of this exam this year, and then we shall be readily and more equipped will be available for the next year GATE exam. So this exam falls on just day after tomorrow, so I could not do much about this exam for this year, but for the next year examinee, I'll be doing my utmost for just running a class for GATE examination, and not only the GATE aspirant should be interested in this class, rather the honors students and the postgraduate students who are the real eligible for GATE admission, they must prepare for the GATE exam right from the first year they take admission in either in honors or postgraduate. So, and the right very preparation for GATE requires some different skill, rather more mathematical skill than the theoretical. Those all things I will be covering in classes. So for this year I could not do much, but for the next year exam I will just provide a separate class, separate materials, and I will prepare materials on my own. That I will work. Secondly, this class the classes we are going to come for the GATE will not be only useful for the GATE aspirants. This will be equally useful for the NET examinee, for the postgraduate students, for the honors students, because right from honors, mathematical skill have to be induced within the students, and so this requires a pre-preparation for this exam. And so the honors students, postgraduate students, as well as the GATE students or the aspirants, they must enroll for this class. Right from March, I will run a separate class for GATE exam in addition to the other classes which I am running, and the students are requested to come in the class, to get enrolled in the class. And from March, probably from the next week of March, I will also run a separate online classes for the GATE examinee. That too is going to be started from here, that sometime in mid-March that will start. So students who just repose their faith and their interest should get enrolled, should be in my contact, in the contact of this class, and I'll be available very much. Everything will be done in that class. For the time being, whatever the mock test questions are available to me, in a few minutes I am going to explain few questions, and with all the best to the students. And I'm wishing scintillating success for the aspirants and for the students who are going to give examination this year. So this is all, and let me explain few questions in this class for GATE examinees, and we shall again meet in the next class for another GATE class that too is going to start. So let me show few questions in the class. Well, here we are starting from question number 2. As the question number 1, there is some kind of deficit, data deficit, or some kind of deficit is there. So that's why I am skipping that question. For next, I will be explaining entirely what is Pareto optimal and what is this, that I will explain later on. But I have some doubt in this question. That's why I am omitting, starting from question number 2. In the neoclassical growth model, the increase in the MPS, marginal propensity to save. Now, out of these 4 options, this A would be the answer, that increase steady state output per person. This is the peculiarity of neoclassical growth model, that a rise in MPS leads to a rise in the output per person, that is average productivity. So this will be the very first answer. Second is fiscal deficit. Question is, primary deficit is defined as. Now, there are 3 kinds of deficit: primary deficit, fiscal deficit, and revenue deficit. Primary deficit is defined as fiscal deficit minus interest payment, or in a more elaborated way, we can define primary deficit as the total expenditure minus total receipt minus borrowing minus interest payment. So this happens to be the real formula of primary deficit. Fiscal deficit is total expenditure minus total receipt less borrowings. Borrowings is not considered over here for fiscal deficit. And the revenue deficit is the revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. So these three kinds of deficit arises in the budget. And as far as this primary deficit, so out of for this answer, out of this will be our answer, that fiscal deficit minus interest payment is known as the primary deficit of the budget. So this is what these two questions. Let us. Well, students, if I write all the questions on the blackboard, then I go to answer it. It will be a very much time-taking job. So better you keep the questions in your hand. You must be questions with you, or if the questions you don't have, then you may ask me. You ask this class from WhatsApp or from the description of this video, and you will get the very questions and the PDF. So you keep the PDF with yourself in hand, and I'll be explaining all the theoretical questions just by sitting here. I'll explain, and when the questions come numerical, I'll be on the blackboard. Then I'll explain all the questions on the blackboard. So keep questions in your hand and see the answers, what answers I am giving right from here. So this is what I am doing right now. 3 is 4. If increase in money supply is accompanied by increase in real income. Look, students, if increase in money supply is accompanied by increase in real income, so definitely with an increase in money supply, the very productivity of economy has gone up. That's why real income has increased. So in this case, answer would be A. Rise in the general price level would be proportional to the rise in money supply. So this will be the answer of this question, question number 4, and the answer would be A. Next questions I am just going to explain, and when the questions come numerical, I will be explaining on the blackboard. So question number 5 says that which one of the following is not the assumption of input-output analysis, right? The input-output analysis was just given by Leontya of America 1953, and this input-output analysis works under certain assumptions, and there one of the most important assumption is that technology remains constant, technology does not change. Now let us see which assumption just does not match this. So I think third, number C, that there is a technological change. This is not the assumption of input-output analysis. So this would be the answer. Next question, if the relatively capital abundant country X opens trade with relatively labor abundant country Y, and the trade takes place in accordance with the Heckscher-Ohlin model, then what would be the relative factor price in two countries? Now what it says, that capital abundant country X, and it has opened its trade with another country Y which is labor abundant, and in both of them trade takes place, then what would be the relative factor price in the two countries? So if the capital abundant country exports capital intensive goods and the labor abundant country exports labor intensive goods, then this number D would be the answer, fall in both X and Y. So that would be the answer. Question number 7, which of the following could not offer to theoretically explain the Leontya paradox? Now Leontya paradox, first of all, Heckscher-Ohlin theory is the modern theory of international trade, and this theory was tested against reality by Leontiev just by collecting data on various countries, and Leontiev verified that whether Heckscher-Ohlin theory works in the way they have explained, or it says something else. So whatever the Leontyev found in their analysis was absolutely different from what Hexarollin model had told in their own model, and that is why this is known as the Leontyev paradox. Now, which one of the following could not be theoretically explain the Leontyev paradox? So Leontyev paradox, a relatively strong US demand for relatively labor intensive good, or a relatively strong foreign demand for relatively labor intensive goods? No. B, a relatively strong US demand for relatively labor intensive goods. Yes, that goes against the Leontyev paradox. So this thing is not being explained by the Leontyev paradox. So this would be the answer. So B would be the answer of question number 7. Question number 8. Core inflation is a measure of inflation. Core inflation, while we go to measure core inflation, we take certain important articles of the commodity and particularly food, infrastructure, energy, these things are taken for to calculate core inflation. So core inflation is a measure of inflation that A is the answer, based on the prices of food, infrastructure and energy. So this is the answer of question number 8. Question 9. Which one of the following statement is correct if the public goods are provided by the market without any government intervention? Without any government intervention. Now, what will happen in that case if the public goods are being provided by the government or the state? No problem. But if the supply and the command of public goods goes in the hands of the private, then public goods are under provided and public bats are over provided. This will be done by the very private players. So B would be the answer. Number 10. Asymptotic refers to what happens when sample size becomes very large. This is called asymptotic property. This is from statistics part. How would a decrease in the natural rate of unemployment affect the long run Phillips curve? Right, long run Phillips curve. How would a decrease in the natural rate of unemployment affect the long run Phillips curve? So there would be a downward movement along a given long run Phillips curve, or downward movement would be in the Phillips curve if natural rate of employment comes down. Number 12, which of the following will definitely cause the value of misery index to increase? A new concept, happiness index and misery index. And you may not be knowing, in the Asian countries, only Bhutan is a country which do measure happiness index. First, Bhutan introduced this happiness index. So, which of the following will definitely cause the value of misery index to increase? Stagflation of greater magnitude. Stagflation is a condition in which one sector of the economy is under inflation and another sector of the economy, or the few sectors of the economy, are under depression. So the coexistence of inflation and stagnation, that is why it is known as a stagflation. So when the stagflation becomes of a larger magnitude, then misery index is very much likely to increase. The kurtosis of a normal distribution is the ratio. So this kurtosis, this is the statistical concept. So kurtosis, or the pickedness of the curve, is known as the kurtosis, and for the normal distribution, this is a ratio of fourth central moment and the square of the second central moment. So B is the answer. Fourth moment and the square of the second central moment. So this kurtosis could be measured as kurtosis fourth central moment and second central moment square. This is variance. This is variance, a square of variance, and the numerator, this is fourth central moment around mean. So this is the measurement of kurtosis. It is known as beta 2, and for normal distribution, beta 2 is 3. Keep it in memory. For normal distribution, beta 2 is 3. This is what. Occurs when change in the when there is an adverse feeling between two real estate transacting parties. No, when a change in the behavior of one party is exposed after the property deal is arrived. Definitely. So this B is the answer of question number 14. So adverse selection occurs when a change in the behavior of one party is exposed after the property deal is struck. Number 15. Including relevant lagged values of the dependent variable on the right hand side of regression equation could lead to which one of the following? So when we have the lagged values of dependent variable in the right hand side or in the model, this becomes Quack's distributed lag model, and if least square method is used over there, then there are every likelihood that the estimates would be biased but unbiased, but at the same time estimates would be inconsistent. So in this case the answer would be C, unbiased but inconsistent inconsistent coefficient estimates. So C would be the answer of this question number 15. If the price elasticity of supply is 0.5, then it indicates a slower increase in the marginal cost of production compared to market with a price elasticity of supply of 1.5. If 0.5% fall in the quantity supplied for a 1% increase, no, that is the wrong answer. A more rapid increase in the marginal cost of production, no. 1% increase in the quantity supplied, no. So this A would be the answer. A slower increase in the marginal cost of production. Look, here supply has been identified with marginal cost. So don't get confused. Number A slower increase in the marginal cost of production compared to a market with a price elasticity of 1.5. So definitely when elasticity is less, there would be a slower increase in the marginal cost of production. So A would be the answer. Now, what is the 70th? Theoretical assertion. The Harad-Dummer model assumes a fixed technological relationship between capital stock and income flows. That's fine. It was assumption of Harad-Dummer. The model assumes flexible capital output ratio. No. So both are inconsistent. So this is the 17. And so yes, theoretical assertion is true, but this reason is false. So D would be the answer. Now question 18. Suppose we run a bivariate regression of x, y on x and obtain the residual E, right? Residual E. If we now regress E on x, the slope estimate would be 0, 1, minus 1. Question number. First of all, y is regressed on E, on x, and E is defined. E is y cap minus y. Now the question says the E is regressed on x. So now the new regression line is A plus bx plus u. Now this slope estimate, you might be remembering that in this case beta happens to be summation xy upon summation x square. By the same logic, here B could be explained as summation ex and this divided by summation x square. Now this summation ex is 0, so the slope estimate would be 0. Accordingly, you pick up the answer. Now summation ex is 0. I am going to show how it becomes 0. Summation ex, E is y minus y cap into x. So this becomes summation xy minus x y cap. Now this is summation xy minus y cap, summation y cap x. Now this is summation xy minus summation y cap is beta cap x. So beta cap x into x. This x is x there and y cap happens to be beta cap x. So now this is summation xy, beta cap is constant, so it is taken outside, and this is summation x square. Now this is summation xy and beta cap is known as summation xy by summation x square, I have written there, and into summation x square cancelled. So summation xy minus summation xy 0. So if E is regressed on x, slope coefficient would be 0 according to this logic. Question number?
Option number 8.
So option is A. 18. So here the answer would be A, because in A we have the option 0. So in this the slope coefficient would be 0. Now the 19th question, 19th number is when the dollar strengthens, for this, question number C, when external scale economies exist in an economy, new export opportunities will cause consumers in the exporting country to lose or gain surplus, and consumers in the importing country to lose or gain surplus. So in the when external scale economies exist in an country, new export opportunity will cause consumers to export country to gain surplus, and consumers in the importing country to lose surplus. So its answer would be C. C would be the answer, right? Now question number 21. Suppose you are estimating a Cobb-Douglas production function using first differenced data. How would you interpret the intercept term from this regression? So when the Cobb-Douglas production function is transformed into a linear function, this A becomes log A, and that log A stands for the percentage increase in output per percentage increase in time. So the first A would be the answer for the Cobb-Douglas. Now x tends to beta distribution with parameters n and p, then this distribution tends to a standard normal distribution. Of course, up to the postgraduate class, there is normal distribution, binomial distribution, Poisson distribution, but this beta and gamma distribution is not there. Probably a student will have to see the beta and gamma distribution. Here, when n tends to infinity, beta distribution tends to normal distribution. So B would be the answer for question number 22. Any beta distribution tends to a standard normal distribution when the sample size tends to infinity. This is what is the answer. Right, now I have explained 2022 questions, but this video is going to be more lengthier and longer one. So I'm stopping it, and just I'm making another video right starting from 23rd question. I am explaining that question. It is finished right here. Thanks.